let's get right into it. Matúš, thank you so much for joining us. Super excited to have you on today, and hear about your part of the world and what you're working on and how you're changing the world from where you're at. So please, if you wouldn't mind introducing yourself, kind of where you're at, your background, and kind of everything leading up to what you're doing now.
Thanks, Grant. Happy to be here. So I'm Matúš, and I'm based in Brno, actually Brno, Czech Republic. It's the second largest city in Czechia, and usually when I say I'm from Czechia or I'm based in Czechia, then people say, okay, I know Prague, and that's it. so yeah, but Brno is beautiful. It's as I said, the second largest city, and I love it here. But originally I come from Slovakia, so a neighboring country, and yeah. So I actually just finished my bachelor's here at Masaryk University in Brno. And I've been involved in startup world with NitroDuck, or I've been going around startup world with NitroDuck for a while. So yeah, but just a little bit of background. As I said, I come from Slovakia. I did my high school there, and I always wanted to do bio. I've been fascinated about bio. I actually got a silver on an international biology Olympiad, and ever since I remember, I knew I wanted to do bio, something like that. So your
degrees in biology.
Yeah, my bachelor's was molecular biology and genetics, but now I it's a bit complicated. But now I switched to like a plant bio, because of what I'm doing. So yeah, and then I after high school I came to Masaryk, and yeah. I expected like, okay, it's going to be a bit challenging, and there are going to be brilliant people around. That's not the case, actually. Many people seem just lost, and yeah, I wasn't very, very happy. I didn't feel challenged. So thankfully, I met Miro, one of my co-founders now, and we started to look for projects, and we were looking around, okay, what can be done? And that's how we actually found iGEM. We looked into the competition. It looked pretty cool. So yeah, but we realized that it's kind of hard and very time consuming. So we decided to actually postpone that year after. So that's this year. But yeah.
But before, pitch competition, or
sorry?
Is iGEM like a startup competition, like a pitch?
Yeah. iGEM. Sorry for not mentioning that. iGEM is the biggest synthetic biology competition in the world. So you like every year, like 420 teams take part in an iGEM, and they actually build. You have to build a team, find a real problem in the real world, and try to solve it with synthetic biology. It's quite time consuming. But it's amazing. It's an amazing experience. Yeah. But we wanted to do that. But we looked into it closely and said, okay, let's do it next year, so we can prepare everything very well. And as a part, then I think it was actually 2 years ago now. The third co-founder joined. We met him through our friend, and he said, okay, you guys seem quite cool, let's do something together. And so we actually, just to see whether we can work together, we took part in a hackathon, a synthetic biology hackathon. It was March 2024, and and then we shuffled it around, and we've seen that, okay, we work together pretty well. And actually back then on that hackathon, this was the time where NitroDuck idea or concept came into our minds, and we started developing that.
Nice. Well, that leads us perfectly into the next question. Tell me about NitroDuck. What is it? Like, what are you building? Give me the background.
Yeah, probably I just continue with where I started. Because so back then on that hackathon we were looking around for problems, bio problems, let's say, or any problems we could solve using biology, and we've seen that the nitrogen handling in agriculture is pretty inefficient. The thing is that, well, we use the Haber-Bosch synthesis for utilizing nitrogen in the air into ammonium, And then we're using this ammonium to produce synthetic fertilizers mostly. And it's pretty expensive, actually, if I remember. A couple of billions of dollars go to that. Quite a lot of billions of dollars. I don't remember the exact number now, but never mind that. And the worst thing is what is done with this nitrogen or these fertilizers. Well, we, of course, obviously we fertilize crops with them. And most of those crops are eaten by animals. We feed them to animals, and so we can eat those animals. And these animals produce waste. They produce manure, and this manure is still very, very rich in nitrogen or ammonium. And it's, well, waste. Of course, you use it to fertilize fields. Again, a large part of the ammonium that is still in manure is just evaporated into the air, or there are nitrogen or ammonium runoffs into the waters and soil, so it's not very good for the environment. And yeah, it costs us billions of dollars just this ammonium evaporation. So we said, okay, this is quite a huge problem, not very efficiently handled. So what can be done? What can be done about that? And we found, actually, Maciej, the third co-founder, knew about amazing plant called Duckweed, or family of plants. And it's actually amazing plant. It's the smallest flowering plant in the world. It can double its biomass in just 2 days. It's comparable to cells, actually. So yeah, you don't need to wait a couple of years for it to grow, or a couple of months. And yeah, it can grow on pretty dirty waters, and including actually manure or liquid part of manure. And we said, okay, this is pretty nice. And then we thought, how can that be used to handle that problem we identified? And we thought,
so I can break it down. The duckweed that you're using, you're putting it in the water systems that the manure is being siphoned into to clean up the water of all the nitrogen and everything, right?
That was the original idea, exactly.
Okay.
So we designed a vertical cultivation systems. We wanted them to be optimized and everything. Actually, none of us are automation or AI or mechanical engineers. We are all biologists, but we thought, okay, this is going to be easy to do. So somehow it has to be done. So this is what we envisioned, and the idea was business model. Let's call it, was to put this kind of system directly on the farm, have it on site, so you can minimize costs for transportation of the feed, mostly soybean, from somewhere else. So it might be cheaper, and it might actually the duckweed growing on that manure that's pumped into the system would suck up the ammonium or nitrogen and ammonium and utilize it into protein. Duckweed is already very high in protein. It contains 30 to 50% of protein, so it's comparable to soybean. So yeah, and then we wanted to harvest this duckweed from the systems and feed it to animals. So you would have a cleanup system and protein feed production system in one. So this was the idea.
So it's like self-sustaining almost.
Yes, exactly. It had a lot of problems. One of them was we, of course, did the numbers. We did unit economics, and we've seen, okay, we either need to increase the protein content of duckweed to make this profitable, or general biomass of duckweed to make this profitable. And we found some biosolutions. We identified some genes we might put into duckweed to increase the biomass or protein content. And this is actually what we presented on the hackathon, and people liked it. We got some, I don't know, Judge's Choice Award or something like that. And we were like, okay, people like it. And then it was, this hackathon was actually organized by iGEM, but it's not part of the iGEM competition. It's like a side project, let's say, of iGEM. Yeah, branch. It's called iGEM Startups. The next step in that program was something of let's say acceleration program, but yeah, let's call it like that, called Venture Creation Labs. It took 1 month, and we actually went into that. We made some business models, some competitor analysis, and so on and so on. Yeah, we actually won that program. We were like very surprised. Okay, well, it seemed like people really like it. But back then we didn't really have. We had some scientific concept, but it was just no. It was really not realistic. But the idea was very likable, and yeah, they actually invited us to pitch at the grand finale of the program Startup Showcase in Paris, like in October 24. So yeah, we went there, and in the meantime, we were like, okay, this really seems like people like it, and it makes sense because people didn't really know anything about science, but the business model you're presenting and the whole idea problem was real. That's the first thing that you need to be sure when you're trying to do a startup or whatever, that you have a real problem. And this seemed like the problem was real. So we just had to develop a scientific concept or make a solution. And yeah, we looked into that. We pivoted several of those. But still, we somehow managed to, without a proper scientific concept, we managed to finish second on the Startup Showcase in Paris. So yeah, that was the original NitroDuck era, I would say.
Nice. You've done a really good job of explaining the problem of cows, manure in the water, dirtying up the water, and how to get that out, how to clean up the waterways. Who's the customer for this? Is this more the government needs to clean up the water and they're not doing that? Is it the farmers are getting fined? I was talking to somebody recently who is doing something similar with like water cleanup in Africa. And he was saying like he was doing it in the Netherlands, and farmers are getting fined like $40,000 a year because of like their waters are being contaminated by the runoff. So who's the customer for this?
Yeah, the original idea for customer was the farmer, and through more detailed search, we actually found that this problem is most painful for the huge factory farms with a lot of capital units. And so these would be the customer because, as you said, it's different in different countries or in different areas, but mostly farmers have to pay another fine, but they either have to have a system to clean up their wastewaters, or you have to pay something for that. And but no, our solution would be proposing also the feed part of that, so it makes more sense to do it for farmers. So yeah, the farmers would be the correct customer.
I like it. Perfect. So you've done some pitch competitions, you've done a lot of testing for it, you've proven NitroDuck works. Where do you see it going from here? Where's the next year roadmap?
I need to elaborate more on that. So we wanted to do the NitroDuck everything. So for that, we need to engineer Duckweed to have more biomass or be better at utilizing nitrogen, better at making protein. So we had to make that. Otherwise, numbers wouldn't work. It would be too costly for farmers to do it this way. So we sat down and what can be done about that. We iterated several concepts, talked to a lot of scientists, a lot of industry experts about whether this can be feasible. And all the time we came at the same, we hit the same wall, that the duckweed itself, the plant, is quite hard to genetically modify. It's not impossible. People done it before, but it's quite hard. So we said, okay, for NitroDuck scientific concept to work, we need to figure this out first. So this is actually why we went into iGEM and did the whole competition. That's actually not startup focused, but it's problem focused. And our problem for iGEM is to solve the hard genetic modification of duckweed. And we're doing that. The results seem promising, and it seems like we are able to cut down the time needed to genetically modify duckweed from 5 months that it's now to 1 month stably. Yeah, so you can insert your gene stably, make a stable transgenic line of duckweed in 1 month. Then we realized, okay, this is pretty cool. As a part of our iGEM project, we also developed prototype of that cultivation system we've envisioned. We've recruited into the teams some actually mechanical engineers and some engineers that are good at doing this. We just gave them, okay, this is our idea. This is like an AI generated image, how we want it to look like. They said, okay, we will do that in 6 months. They did it in 4. This is what you want. So now we have like a prototype of a completely autonomous harvesting system or cultivation system for them. So yeah, and
when
then
we talk about genetically modifying the duckweed, the most famous example of genetic modification is probably wheats, for growing grain. And there was, I always forget this guy's name, but he grew it in Mexico, and like it was the first guy to like the father of modern like plant genetics modification, and he grew like a drought resistant, low water needed, bug resistant like wheat.
You mean okay, I forgot the name, the Nobel Prize winner.
He won all these prizes, and like because of him, it was estimated like he saved 800 million lives from starvation.
I keep forgetting that. It starts with a B. Yeah. Never mind. Sorry?
Never mind. But like, so is that closer to what you mean by genetic?
Actually, what he did, he selectively bred so he didn't really tap into the genetic code directly of wheat, but he like combined or crossed the plants with good traits, as you said, drought resistance or high biomass and so on. So he bred those, crossed those, and this is how he obtained the grapevines. But we are doing essentially we would like to do this with duckweed, but it takes time, especially with duckweed because it's you can't cross duckweed because it's just multiplying. It's not sexual reproduction through pollen, but it's just dividing. So you have one duckweed and it divides, and the second individual is the same one, is a clone of the previous one. So you can't really cross duckweed. But this is actually where synbio comes in, synthetic biology. You can tap into the genetic code of the plant and just tell the gene, okay, be this way, and make more biomass. Put it simply, put it simply. But for that, we need to know how to modify. We need to have good method to modify that. And this is what we're developing. Actually, we're in progress. So yeah.
I understand now. Awesome, man. I like it. Perfect. All right. I think we got a good concept of what NitroDuck is and what you're doing with it, and wish you all the best in that. And are you still in the iGEM thing?
We're actually, as I said, sadly, we are not doing too many startup related things now because we're finishing iGEM. We need to do our web page and prepare presentations, and it ends the end. The end of October is the final again in Paris. So fingers crossed for us. We're trying to win that, of course. We're always trying to win. So
best of luck to you, my friend. Let's shift a little bit over. I want to hear more about kind of the Czech Republic and also Slovakia, where you're from. How are you seeing the entrepreneurial kind of ecosystem change over the last few years? And all these different ecosystems we talk to around the world, there's obviously the university element, which helps to like educate and bring in resources. There's usually kind of co-working spaces, maybe angel investors. How have you seen kind of your local ecosystem change over the last few years?
Yeah. To be honest, I've been into this world for 2 years. So, some stuff changed, and for better, thankfully. First things first, for my area, for biotech, European Union in general is not very friendly, but it's getting better. But regulations are still pretty shitty. But it's getting better, and especially the Brno or the South Moravian region. There's quite a good organization. It's called South Moravian Innovation Center, and it's doing a very good job on helping startups and doing the tech transfer from university to real world. There are 3 quite large universities in Brno, and more into tech oriented. And actually, Brno is there are some startups that are doing AI or some engineering stuff. Or there's a space startup here that's doing a good job, and most of them they passed through some of the programs of South Moravian Innovation Center. So in my opinion, they're doing a really good job on helping or actually motivating researchers to go into the real world and apply the technology there. So yeah.
Nice. Awesome, man. Love to hear it. What is it? You talked earlier about like you're in the biology space, but you had to work with a few kind of mechanical engineer, other engineers to get a prototype built. I always like to ask this question of like, what's one piece of like startup advice or like a mistake you made? But I'd like to hear, because you're so specialized in one area, but you have to work with these other guys to get a prototype built. What's maybe some mistakes you made or a piece of advice you'd like to give to other startup founders when they're working with people with completely different skill set?
Yeah. Or I'll try to go to the answer from the point of view of basically recruiting. We've done a lot of recruiting for the iGEM project, and the best advice I would give is to look first. The people that you know or they're your friends are not always very good fit to work with you on your startup. So be sure to try out those people that you want to work with on some smaller projects, just to see how we work together. For example, that hackathon or some short-term stuff. So this is probably the best advice I would give. And then don't really look into the skill set or at the skill set of the person. Try to look for we call it rate of improvement, because especially, I would say especially in AI, but also really this applies to biotech. You need to have a person, or you want to have a person in your team that's aware that he or she doesn't know anything, and the most valuable skill is just to learn as fast as possible and to fail as fast as possible. So yeah, but you asked about mistake. Yeah, I made a mistake that I had a good friend and I thought we could work in startup well, but it was not the case.
Good advice, man. Awesome. I'm just gonna wrap up. Where can people follow you? Where can they see your journey and hopefully watch you win this iGEM competition? Where can we follow you from?
Yeah, so I have my LinkedIn, and all of our co-founders, of my co-founders have LinkedIn. We have a LinkedIn called iGEM Brno, and yeah, soon we will have our webpage on our wiki. It's called so iGEM Brno wiki iGEM. Yeah, so basically you can find it there. We also have Instagram. It's mostly Czech language oriented. Yeah, but LinkedIn is the best. So yeah,
we'll follow you there, man. Best of luck, and thank you so much for your time today.
Thank you. It was a pleasure.